The air was moving. 30 feet underground, in a facility that hadn't been opened in 42 years, the ventilation system was running. A Norwegian research team wasn't supposed to find anything operational. This was a geological survey, a routine mapping expedition through decommissioned Cold War infrastructure beneath the Nordmarka forest. But when they breached the outer seal, warm air pushed against their faces. The temperature differential was immediate, 11 degrees Celsius warmer than the tunnel behind them. Dr. Hannah Burge stopped at the threshold. Her thermal camera showed heat signatures radiating from ductwork along the ceiling. Consistent, uniform, active. The facility had been decommissioned in 1981. All power sources disconnected. All mechanical systems shut down and documented as inactive by NATO inspectors. But something was still breathing down here. The sound was faint. A low mechanical hum, steady and rhythmic, coming from somewhere deeper in the structure. Not the groan of settling concrete or the drip of groundwater. This was purposeful. Engineered. Burge's dosimeter clicked softly. Background radiation only. No electrical smell. No ozone, no diesel fumes, just warmth, airflow, and that sound. The team had two choices: seal it back and report the anomaly, or go deeper and find out what had kept itself alive for 4 decades. They chose the second option. The main corridor stretched 90 meters straight into the bedrock. Emergency lighting strips along the floor were completely dark, but the team's headlamps caught something deeply unexpected. There was no dust. In a sealed environment, untouched for over 40 years, there should have been layers of sediment, particulate buildup, thick coats of oxidation on every metal surface. Instead, the walls were clean. The air tasted filtered, almost sterile. Burge ran her gloved hand along a ventilation grill. The metal was warm to the touch. She pulled a ribbon of surveyor's tape from her pack and held it near the vent. It fluttered. Not violently, just a steady, consistent pull. Airflow at roughly 2 meters per second. The team's geologist, Martin Solberg, checked his pressure gauge. The chamber was maintaining positive pressure, 0.03 bar above the external tunnel. A small difference, but it was measurable, and it shouldn't have been possible. How could a dead bunker be actively pushing air out? They reached the operations room at the end of the long hall. The heavy steel door was ajar, not forced open, but just left open, as if someone had left in a hurry all those years ago and simply never came back. Inside, the scene was even stranger. The control panels, a relic of a bygone era, were completely dead. No lights, no flickering displays, nothing. But mounted along the far wall was a series of analog pressure gauges, brass housings, glass faces, and purely mechanical needles. And every single one of them was reading active pressure. The ventilation system, the air distribution network, the pressure regulation, all of it was functioning. Not powered, not electrical, but somehow, inexplicably, functional. Burge placed her hand on a large vertical pipe that ran from the floor to the ceiling. She could feel it. A vibration. It was subtle, but it was unmistakable. Something was moving through the system. Solberg knelt beside a floor grill and aimed his powerful headlamp downward into the darkness. 50 meters below, he could see a faint shimmer in the air, the powerful beam of his light being refracted by invisible currents. He slowly stood up and turned to Burge. His voice was steady, but his expression was anything but. "This isn't residual," he said. "It's circulation." The word seemed to settle into the cold air like a physical weight, heavy with implication. What was circulating? And why? They had to know more. The team found the access shaft and began their descent. As they went deeper, the vibration grew stronger. A low hum that resonated through the soles of their boots. The temperature began to climb. 16 degrees Celsius, then 18, then 20. It was getting noticeably warmer. At the bottom level, they finally found the source. It was a geothermal convection loop. A 60-meter stretch of insulated ductwork had been run through a natural fissure in the granite. The original engineers who built this place hadn't just relied on generators. They had tapped into a deep thermal gradient in the earth itself. No fuel, no electricity, just rising heat, vapor, and the fundamental laws of physics. But that wasn't the most unsettling part. The truly bizarre discovery was the control valves. They were purely mechanical, with counterweights and levers, designed to self-regulate based on tiny shifts in temperature and pressure. It was simple 19th century engineering, like something out of an old steam engine, but applied to a state-of-the-art Cold War bunker. And somehow, over 4 decades, in total darkness, with absolutely no human intervention, the system had balanced itself. They pieced together what had happened. The thermal draft created by the geothermal heat pulled cool air down through intake vents on the surface, vents that had corroded open over the years. That cool air warmed as it descended, rose through the massive convection loop, and then cycled back through the bunker's distribution network. The entire complex was breathing, not by design, but by a series of cascading accidents. A system that was built to be shut down and abandoned had instead found a perfect, stable equilibrium. Berg started taking photographs of the valves. Some were locked in place by mineral deposits that had built up over decades. Others had rusted into fixed positions that just so happened to allow the perfect amount of airflow. But together, by pure, dumb luck, they formed a stable, self-correcting feedback loop. It was fragile. It was completely unintentional. And it was fully autonomous. Solberg walked over to a pressure tank mounted on the concrete wall. The gauge read 85 kilopascals. He tapped it gently with his knuckle, a common practice to check if a needle is stuck. The needle didn't move. He tapped it harder. This time, the needle shuddered, then dropped abruptly to 0. And somewhere deep in the labyrinthine ventilation system above them, metal groaned. The sound echoed through the ductwork, a long, low moan that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It was a slow exhalation, the sound of a system under strain. Berge's headlamp flickered for a second. The air pressure around them shifted, just slightly, but it was enough to feel a pop in their ears. The system wasn't failing. It was adjusting. For 42 years, it had maintained its delicate, accidental balance in the dark, and they had just disturbed it. A chilling thought crept into their minds. What other adjustments would it make to find its balance again? They were inside a machine that was waking up, and they had no idea what it would do next. Imagine a world sealed off from our own, a concrete tomb buried deep beneath the earth, designed to outlast civilization itself. This isn't science fiction. Today we're venturing into the silent steel heart of a place known only as Sector Gamma, a mysterious abandoned bunker that holds a truly astonishing secret. It's still alive. Built during the height of global tensions, Sector Gamma was one of hundreds of doomsday shelters. But while others were simple concrete shells, this one was different. It was engineered to be a self-sustaining ark, a completely closed ecosystem designed to support a small community indefinitely. Then, one day, the steel doors sealed shut, and it was simply forgotten, erased from official records. For decades it sat in total darkness, a ghost in the ground. Our team gained rare access, and what we found inside defied all explanation. The air, thick with the smell of damp earth and ozone, was breathable. Faint emergency lights still flickered along the corridors, casting long dancing shadows. We followed the hum of machinery to the bunker's core, and that's where we saw it. The power was still on. The original designers had built a geothermal power plant, tapping into the Earth's natural heat. It was still running, chugging away silently after more than half a century. This power wasn't just for the lights, it fueled an entire ecosystem. In a vast multi-level chamber, we discovered a hydroponics bay. Rows upon rows of strange, pale plants were growing under the glow of artificial sun lamps, their roots dangling in nutrient-rich water. Automated systems, still following their original programming, were tending to this subterranean garden. harvesting and replanting in an endless cycle. The water, we learned, was sourced from an underground aquifer, purified and recycled through a complex filtration system that mimics natural wetlands. Every drop was accounted for, every resource conserved with ruthless efficiency. It was a perfect, self-contained loop of energy, water, and life. It was a world in a bottle, designed to never need the outside again. But the biggest mystery wasn't how the bunker survived. It was why. Who was it built for? Official documents are non-existent, and local legends speak of a shadowy group of scientists and thinkers who believed the surface world was doomed. Did they ever make it inside? We found living quarters, preserved as if their occupants had just stepped out for a moment. Books sat on nightstands, and faded photographs were pinned to bulletin boards, showing smiling faces from a world long gone. Yet, there were no signs of what happened to them. No records, no final entries, just an eerie, profound silence. The bunker continues its lonely mission, a ghost ship sailing through an ocean of Earth, its automated systems faithfully tending a garden for inhabitants who may never have arrived. It stands as a haunting testament to human ingenuity and our deepest fears, a self-sustaining world, waiting forever in the dark. What other secrets are buried just beneath our feet? Thanks for watching, and if you're fascinated by the world's hidden places, make sure to subscribe for more explorations.